Perfect. Hello, everyone. It's me, Katie, again. It's Tuesday. Sorry, it's Wednesday, actually. And I was just saying that, in my head, I feel like it's Tuesday because it was Monday yesterday, our first webinar of the week, but it's Wednesday. So hello, everyone. On behalf of Wise Summits, I'd like to thank you for joining us here. We've got a beautiful, joyful person here with us, Bahadir Takmak. Has been a wonderful speaker in our past conferences, and it's my honor and pleasure to welcome him on board. So thank you for accepting the invitation and for wanting to present. You're very passionate about everything that you're doing, and I will say a brief introduction about you. But thank you again. Hello.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much.
And before we start, I will just say a few sentences on about why we're here, what we're doing, so everyone knows, because we do have some new names here joining us, and that makes me really happy to see new faces as well. PPM Summer Talks Conference, which is happening right now, and it's going to happen for another 4.5 weeks. It's a conference that we put together as a part of Wise Summits conferences, because we really wanted to take the opportunity to come up with a new idea of how conferences can function in this virtual environment. And we really got a great feedback from speakers like Bahadir and all the others that accepted my invitation to be part of PPM Summer Talks. Because really what we're doing differently is that instead of having a 2-day-long conference, where everyone is just kind of tired and sick of spending so much time in front of screen, we've got 4 online webinars a week. So one person or one topic that's discussed per day, always at the same time. So, we're here at 4. I'm based in Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. So it's 4 p.m. Central European time. And let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I know that, everyone is joining us from completely different parts of the world. And it's really great to see you. All of this conference is actually happening in the duration of 5 weeks, and it's all through our PPM workout platform. And if you're asking me what it is, and you haven't heard from me from the past week of repeating it, I'm more than happy to say it's a platform which we've actually dedicated to all professionals and experts from the pharma industry, for everyone to be able to share their experience, passion, knowledge, blog posts, articles, ask questions, anything you've got going on, and it's at least a little related to pharma. Please don't be shy and share it there online. It's a tool which everyone can use, and we're more than happy to provide it for you. But we really need experts and professionals like yourself to create content there, because that's how you all can inspire one another and learn from one another. So that's the summary of why we're here. And as I said, we've got the lovely Bahadir with us today. He's going to present a keynote, a product evaluation and product selection of early stages. And before he'll start, as it kind of became a little tradition, I will say something about Baha. I'm going to introduce him a little bit to you who haven't heard of him. Maybe there are some people like that here. I don't think so. And then I'm going to ask him some fun and hopefully some juicy questions that can get him warmed up for his keynote presentation. But as he mentioned to me, he's nothing closely to what we say nervous. Yes, I was nervous last week for my first few online webinars and hosting them, but all good now. And he's an excellent speaker, so he's good. He's good. He doesn't I didn't need my warm-up questions. But this is Bahadir. And I'm going to say something a little bit about him. He's an experienced global and portfolio pipeline manager with demonstrated history of working in the pharmaceutical industry, strong marketing and portfolio professional who is skilled in global portfolio marketing management, especially in oncology, hematology, gastroenterology, hospital retail sales and market research. I also found some other information on him, but I'm not sure if that's relevant. I'm gonna maybe he will share some of them with us. He worked in Turkey, so this is actually 17 years that marks his PPM journey and pharma industry for him. And he's worked for 9 years, so most of his time or longer in Germany than he did in Turkey. Right now, he's working for, it's been almost 4 years, and if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but it's been almost 4 years that you worked for Sandoz as a global portfolio pipeline manager. Before he worked for quite many big companies as Pfizer, Johnson Johnson's, and after he moved to Germany to join the team at Fresenius Kabi, where he worked for over 8 years as a senior strategic marketing manager, and he was responsible for the strategic marketing activities. Is there anything you'd like to add to this as the brief introduction, but please feel free.
No, it's perfectly fine, yeah.
Yeah, is that, does it sound good? Does it sound relevant?
Yes.
Perfect. So, I would like to start with a few questions before your presentation starts. A quick one. If you could time travel, where would you go? When would you go?
Yeah, it's actually very easy. The second half of the 20th century. So in the France, Paris, in one of the cafe that the authors and the poets are talking to each other and drinking. So that kind of area, I guess.
What do you like about it? Why is it? Why does it create a great vibe for you?
Because I like antiques, I like old books, I like the Russian and the European novels. So in that time in France, in Paris, actually all the people are going to the same cafes, cafeterias or restaurants, and they only talk about literature and life. So I guess it would be so fantastic to just listen them, not even talking, but just listening.
Isn't Germany kind of like that? I mean, what I've experienced from Germany was third wave cafes, specialty coffee shops, a lot of books. Is that why you kind of what dragged you to Germany, or?
Germany is because of the pharma industry. Actually, it's very, that in Europe the pharma industry is very strong in Germany and Switzerland. So the big companies headquarters are based in those countries. That's why I moved to Germany from Turkey. But at the same time, Germany is also a very specific country with the everything is started in the science and philosophy. There are lots of very important people that you don't even know that they are German. If you dig the history and starting from the 16th century. And the universities in Germany is also based for the American universities, for example. Everything is the style and organization is all in the German old universities. So it's Germany is very strong with the science understanding, philosophy, scientific understanding, religion topics. Like there's a lot of very famous and important religious people also was living before in Germany.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Germany is also very fantastic to live.
Exactly, as you said, it's such a mishmash of cultures, and that's what I love about Germany as well. When I've been, and it's a hub. It seems like it's a cultural hub for everyone and everything, and whatever your passion is, you can actually make it come true, and maybe even make living out of it most of the time in Germany as well. Like that was kind of my.
Agree. Yeah, it's very easy to live if you obey the rules. That's the only rule that you should follow in Germany. Obey the rules, and then you will have fun with nature, with the people, less stress.
That's true. And so if I can ask you a little bit about your career, when did you know that this is what you wanted to do, like this kind of job, this career path? Did you have any proof that you were on the right path?
Actually, I only do pharma industry. So I started as a sales rep in pharma, and I continue. So I like to talk, as you can see, and I like to learn. And so it's really good to talk with the professional doctors, especially the medical oncologists in my case, to learn the topics, to learn the treatments. And after working 1 or 2 years, you decide to go further, or you just decide to stop and change your industry. So I decided on go further, and I'm still learning. Every day is learning for me.
That's incredible.
That's why I like it. Yeah.
That's incredible. It kind of pushes you forward. And so for people who might not know what you actually do, I doubt it, but if you could briefly describe your typical work day, You know, from the moment you kind of, I mean, I wanted to say enter your job, but if you work from home, you know, if you work from home and like everyone else right now, probably most of people, how would you say, what do you do? Just, you know, just briefly, if you'd like.
My job is to select the generic products. So select the generic right products to the portfolio of Sandoz International. And to do this, I need to know all the developers, the originators, what they are doing. And I need to understand which ones I should select and focus. So I'm digging the databases. I'm checking all the updates. I'm really trying to understand the new selections. And at the same time, the products that I selected before, I need to work on them with the project managers, with the IT managers, with the other stakeholders to go further to the launch of the generic. So in my area, I'm talking about 10 years, 15 years timelines. So 2035, 2040. Long-term targets I have, and I also have some products right now close to the launch. So my responsibility started from the idea phase till the launch of the product. Of course, there are some stakeholders in between. There are launch managers, there are project managers, but my responsibility is from the beginning till the end of the selection and to launch.
So you kind of have to work in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about future. I should. That's why I should know the products more than the originators.
And wouldn't you say it's a bit challenging to actually function like this when it comes to, you know, thinking about what's about to happen in 15 years?
It is challenging, but it's also very, very nice to do, because I guess none of the forecasts or none of the estimations is real. The most important thing is if you are close to the reality. If your estimations are good enough for 15 years planning, then it is good. Nobody is asking you to make 100% the accurate things because it's impossible. We are talking about 15 years there. You see the corona right now, the last 2 years, everything changes. So who can know what will happen in 15 years?
Yeah, I fully agree. Everything changes exactly.
Everything changes. So you should be a little bit close to the you should know the industry very well. You should know your products, the therapeutic areas. If you're working for oncology, you should know oncology. You should know the originators, what they plan to develop, what they are in phase 1, for example, which molecules in phase 2, which molecules they are dealing with. And that kind of information is giving you a chance to give the decision and convince your board to invest on those generic products. So that's why it's very interesting, actually.
So if you say this is kind of challenging to really think further beyond just tomorrow and next month, of really thinking in, 15-year time, this is the challenging part. What would you say would be the most enjoyable, that you just, you wake up in the morning and you say to yourself, oh my goodness, I'm actually going to work and this is what I love? What is it? The biggest?
Learning.
Learning.
In our industry, I guess there are lots of global people in the participants as well. I saw some of them. I guess everyone knows that each scope has different regulations, and every day you learn something from some scopes. For example, China, there's something different changing. In FDA, they change a rule. In EMA, in Europe, all the agencies have different regulations right now. And every country has a different setup. The market is different. So learning those things to make your better assumptions gives you the motivation starting the day. So I'm not doing a job if I don't work, for example, today. It's not like 8 hours work. If I don't finish my job, job that I'm doing a task, for example, tomorrow I should work 2 times more than I should, because I should do the things in the right time.
Of course.
Timing is very important for us.
So what would you say was the latest or the last, kind of like the mind-blowing thing that you've learned? Is there anything like that kind of comes to your mind?
Whenever I learn from the databases, it makes me happy. So the last thing is there's one new generic database that I will not actually present in my presentation because it's a very new, that I can see which companies are working for which kind of APIs. that I just discovered. So I will add those information in my next slides, maybe in the autumn or maybe next year. But it's really interesting. In the beginning of for example, I saw some people from Stada right now, I also from Fresenius. These are all our competitors. We are working in the same industry. So I guess most of the biggest question that we are asking to each other, who is working, who wants to develop this product, what kind of competition we are talking about. And this external database is giving a really very interesting, at least it triggers different questions to my mind, which makes me so excited. But I will let the audience know this external database in my next presentation, because they're very new, I didn't add it to my presentation.
Yeah, we have Bahadur. He told me, when we had our phone call, he told me, you can use me twice, Katie. You can have me for 2 presentations. Like, okay, don't tell me twice, I'll do it. And I have one last question. When you're having a bad day, or if you are having a bad day, you seem like a very joyful person, but you're not a machine. So I feel like people do have low days. What is the one thing that really always puts a smile on you? Are you gonna say your kid?
But I can see my daughter only once a week. So if she's not with me, I think the best thing, if somebody lives in München area will know it. Just I'm living in Heidhausen, in the city center. So the best thing is just to walk in the München streets and go to the Isar River, walk around the Isar River, see the young people, just enjoying themselves. So get the energy, full energy back again, go back to your home and start your thoughts again about so the best thing in online working and the working at home is you can give some time for yourself, just to set the things starting again.
And it's always the simple things. I really do believe that myself. That's exactly what everyone needs to appreciate, and you seem to be doing it. So without further ado, actually, before I've actually got so many other questions, but I'm going to leave that out later. Maybe we can just chat online later on. But without further ado, I would like to introduce you again to everyone. This is Bahadur, and I'm so very pleased to have you on board. And I'm going to give you my word. Everyone, please keep your questions coming. And this is Bahadur. Thank you again so much.
Thank you so much. I share my screen then and just select my presentation. Hopefully I can manage.
Yeah, we see it well. Perfect.
Okay, good. So I cannot see the comments part. Katie, if you kindly let me know if there's any comments or any questions that I will be very happy to actually reply.
Definitely, perfect. I will keep an eye on that.
Yeah, whenever in the presentations, really, I will be happy to stop and reply. You don't need to wait for the end of the presentation. Perfect. And I also like to make it interactive. Whenever I ask a question, Katie, if you kindly just check if anyone say yes or no, that kind of information.
Definitely. Perfect. Thank you.
So today I will present for the generic pharma industry, the product evaluation part, and I specifically give an example for an oncology product that one of my really favorite products in this industry. I always give the same example and joke that after working 17 years in the industry in the same therapeutic area, you started to select some molecules like football teams that you started to be fan of it. So today I will give one product to you and show it how I am making the product evaluation to getting ready to selection of this product for the generic portfolio in my company. So I will have 17 slides today. And I cannot move my slides. Yes, I can. So 17 slides I have, and it will take a maximum 20 minutes. And I will just make a small introduction for myself. Actually, Katie make a great one. I will make a very short one, and then let you know about how we define the potential of the molecules before selection, and then what are the checkpoints we are looking, especially the therapeutic after selecting the molecules, what areas that we should focus on, and what do we know about the product itself, and the developers, the originators, do we know them? Do we understand them easily? What are the other generic competition? the other companies are doing for this molecule, and if we can predict the future, and also what is our profit, what is our gain for this. Then I will make a conclusion, and of course you can in any time ask questions during the presentation. So I started the industry as a sales rep. So I talk directly with doctors. I know the need of them. They always need the product. They don't want to spend a product for nothing. So the product should give efficacy, especially in oncology. So it means overall survival. The patient needs to live longer. And also it can give some time to the patient. So some of the cancer types, there is no curative targets, unfortunately. And then they are looking for some response rates. At least the patient can live longer. And then afterwards, there's some palliative solutions that the patient might have a better life conditions. So in my sales representative time, like 2 years, I'm working in Pfizer in Turkey, in Istanbul. I learned that the doctors are looking for the molecules itself, just to understand which type of the patients they can use this molecule. So they are not using like all the lung cancers, all the breast cancers, I will use this product, but not, they say the old patients, because of there's less side effects, I will use this product. Or for the young patients, which needs some curative, results, I will use this aggressive product. So this is my luck that I started from the sales to talk with the customers directly. And then afterwards, I also work for Janssen for the hematology area. I was a partly product manager, partly sales rep. And this is also good learning for hematology. Then I became the product manager, and also in the Fresenius Kabi in Turkey, the product manager as well. Then I moved to Germany in 2012 and worked specifically for the marketing part of the generic industry. So I'm also very experienced on the marketing part of the generic industry. And then I moved to Sandoz from Frankfurt to München. And then I started to represent my company for the portfolio topics. So what I am doing right now is my task is to select and allocate the right generic products for oncology, and my future portfolio of Sandoz that we are talking about 10 years, 15 years, sometimes even 20 years, the launch molecules that we are talking about. So when you think that I'm a generic industry, a pharma guy, don't think that I'm just looking for very close launch products. And mostly my job is to make a strategy, decide on the potentials of the product, and realize what the product means for industry. So I should know these things 15 years back from the reality. So this makes me really give a great motivation. So if I want to ask who is working in the generic industry, I saw Stada and I saw Fresenius Kabi in this participants. Is there anyone else working for generic, or anyone else here is the developer companies, like originator companies? Kati, if you see any.
Yeah, so far no raised hands, but yeah, feel free to raise hands, everyone. There's actually an icon you can use. If not, please tell me at the end, don't be shy.
Okay, at the end is also okay. So why I'm saying this, Marcelo, I guess, raised the hand. Maybe he only tried the...
Yeah, there was the hand. Anyone else? Maybe.
Yeah, I saw it again.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And the heart. We're getting hearts as well. Actually, you're getting hearts. Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna steal your hearts.
It should be to you, Kati. So then I just want to give information about Sandoz. Sandoz is the global leader of the generic oncology portfolio. It's more than 50 products, from the chemotherapy, the hormone therapy, the supportive care, and of course the biologics that the biosimilars portfolio we have. And also we reach like almost 100 countries. And as you know that we are part of the Novartis holding. So Novartis is the originator company, and we are representing the generic industry. So just want to give some details about the company that I'm working right now. And So the first topic is the define the potential. So when I first start this presentation, I always give an example to the people to clarify what kind of analysis that we are doing for selection. So this is a selection for a generic product. But think that you also want to select your life partner. So I guess you're doing the same kind of analysis, but you don't know that what really you're processing on. So we say define the potential. So this define the potential, of course, there's no value or medical potential for the life partner, but you try to talk with the person. You really try to understand what kind of person it is that she is or he is. So you try to understand what you're talking for and what is the synergy or energy or relationship or connection that you can share. So same for the generic industry. Whenever we talk about one molecule, first of all, we try to understand the value of the product. And there are some databases that we can use. Some of them some of them your company can give the access. Some of them you should buy your access individually. And I give 4 examples. One of them is Evaluate Pharma. Is really my favorite for the value, because Evaluate Pharma is checking all the company presentations, all the quarter-wise information, and they try to realize what is the value can be until 2026. So in this example, my favorite molecule in the lung cancer indication, osimertinib, the Tagrisso, the brand name. For example, if you check to the Evaluate Pharma, if you just write it to the search box, it will give you the company's sales starting from the launch. This product launched in 2015. So you see that till today, right now, the value of the product is 5.5 billion. And it will be almost 10 billion in 2026. But it doesn't mean that it will stop there. This database can only show until 2026. But you can see that in 5 to 6 years, the sales will double almost. So this is very important to understand the value from Evaluate Pharma. There is also Cortellis forecast that you can find, or DRG, and the Decision Resources Group, or you can directly go to the company presentations, because some of them are public, some of them you can find in some other websites. But this is the most important thing that you need to know. What is the value potential you're talking about? Why are you spending your time for this molecule? The second topic you should ask yourself is the medical potential. So, okay, the value is high. Of course, the product should be good enough. The product should be very strong. But at the same time, you should know the other competitors in the same indication. What are the other molecules? Are the other molecules are strong, or this market is big? Is osimertinib in this case, it's the same example, is it the market lead? What kind of actually things that it makes osimertinib strong? You can read some medical clinical trials. Sometimes you can check some researches. And my favorite one is the public one, is PubMed, and also the RG, that's inside the Medicines Complete. You can get some information about this group. In osimertinib case, for example, there's one research page I pasted. In the slide, you can see there's a review of the comparison between the osimertinib and the others, like gefitinib, the erlotinib, afatinib. And it shows really it's a good one. You can just check it. It was published in July 2019. So you can see what kind of differences the products are, what kind of studies the other molecules did and osimertinib did. What is the difference between osimertinib and other molecules? So you can see the medical potential for osimertinib in this case as well. So you know the value potential of the products, more than 10 billion in 2026. You know the medical potential. You know that it's a very unique product. But the third thing that you should also think where to focus.
And so with your permission, before you continue, we've got a question from Sandra, and she's asking, looking 15 to 20 years ahead, many innovative products still in development with high attrition rate. How do you consider this?
Yeah, very good question. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Sandra, again.
So as you know, the FDA give the approval mostly the phase 3 studies. Sometimes they also give phase 2 if it's a very unique study, if there is a very niche indication, but mostly it's phase 3. So whenever we check the phase 3 studies, we also see for the same indication, other molecules, the candidates from phase 2 studies as well. So whenever we think about osimertinib, we are also checking for the other molecules that Pfizer will bring to the market, for example, dacomitinib, or I don't know what the other kind of TNIPs to the industry, to the market. So we need to also check the other phase 2 studies. But you're right, in 5 years later, they can also start new phase 1 studies, and they can have a better product. In 10 years later, they can be in phase 2, phase 3. Then this is my second part of my job that I explained. I need to check my ongoing projects. If there is any change in the market, if there is any threats on the market, that I should double check the value and the medical and the value potential again. So this is the beginning, actually. So in the beginning, I'm checking, and in each phases, we call it milestones of the evaluation. After selection, we still check the potential. In each case, we can revisit the forecast. We can revisit the value. So it's not only once done and wait for 15 years, but each time, each year, actually 6 months, you check all the medical information, all the medical data. Of course, the other stakeholders help you. The project manager is also checking. The medical managers are also checking. But it's a very valid question. So as I told, everything is changing, especially in the oncology area. So in this case, after we select osimertinib product, you need to know where to focus, because I'm the global portfolio manager. I'm not a regional portfolio manager. I'm not only thinking about Europe or US or Asia, for example. So I have a budget. I need to invest. If I want to select this product, if I need to invest something for this product, I should know where to invest, which scope I should consider, which country I should consider. So in this case, there is a very nice public database. I'm more than sure you heard about it. It's GlobalCan, and it's all the information, actually the links are in the presentation. I don't know, maybe Kathy, you share the presentation. I don't know the process for this.
Yeah, I haven't, but you feel free to. I didn't want to spoil and tease anyone before you give the talk, but feel free to share it after you're done, on the PPM platform, and everyone will be able to see it there. If you like.
I can share. So in this public page, you can check all the cancer types, the incidence and prevalence rates, and you can see in the world map. In this case, what I did is I just entered to GlobalCan the lung cancer, and in this 2018 database, I can see the incidence rates. And in this map, what you see, and you can think about US and to Canada to add to your scopes, or China, of course. Turkey and some European scopes, you can think about it, Australia, South Africa, and also Argentina, or in South America part, a bit you should think about it, only for lung cancer. But this product, osimertinib, they have an EGFR mutation. So it's not for all lung cancer products. So you should know the indication for the molecule. So not all lung cancers are lung cancers, as you know. So the EGFR mutation is very important. So how can I dig the EGFR mutations incidence? There are some studies, but for me, the easiest way is the IQVIA database. If I go to IQVIA database, and if I check the other molecules in the EGFR mutation area, like gefitinib, erlotinib, afatinib, they launched far more before osimertinib. So you can see in which area those products are sold and what are the potential of EGFR worldwide. And you can also see the medical pages, but it's strange that EGFR is more an Asian genetic. So mostly this is an Asian product, actually. 42% was sold in Asia part. and also 32% in Europe. Only 25 is in the North America, and some very small piece left for the South America. So in this case, you should consider especially the Asian markets and Europe scope, of course, the most important ones, and also US. And Canada, South America, it depends on, of course, the financial status and with your calculations, your NPV analysis, if it works to invest. But in here, you should, in your presentation to the board or whenever who decide to allocate this product, you need to give this information that this product is very big potential, $10 billion. And also it's in Asia and Europe, 75% of the sales is coming from those scopes. And US is also very important because US is a different dynamic market. When you launch the product, US is almost the earliest market, and also from the pricing assumptions, it's different than the other part of the world. So if you ask me, you should definitely think about 3 scopes, 3 parts in the world: Asia, Europe, and US. But of course, the other scopes can follow. The next question you should ask is, what do you know? So again, coming back to our life partner selection thing, you also, whenever you explain about yourself, when you drink coffee with her or him, you tell about yourself. Mostly you tell about your strengths. You never say about your weakness in the first, I guess, meeting. But in our case, we should see both of them. So what we are talking about, why osimertinib is so strong, and if there is any weakness of this product, if there's any threats, if there's any opportunities that we are talking about. And the strength, this is a Cortellis database. So if you enter Cortellis, write osimertinib, you can see the forecast from Cortellis. And at the same time, you can see the SWOT analysis. So it's an amazing tool, actually. I really like it. When I first start to look for the molecule, it's really good thing that you can even see the link of the studies. What is the strength of the product? And you can click the link and you see the studies and you see that, that's the reason it's strong. For example, in this case, this is the first and only approved EGFR mutated non-small cell lung cancer product in the T790M resistant mutation, because it's a unique area, and they make the study, they perform the study on this part, and the medical doctors are also very happy that this is also very strong in this specific mutation. So, and it's in the first line therapy that makes the product much more stronger. As you know, in oncology, if you're in the early stages of the treatment, then you will see more patients. More patients can have a chance to use your product. And also the patients will be much more stronger. They can make the overall survival and progression-free survival longer, and they can use the product in the first early stages more than the later stages. So it means that osimertinib is strong because of different setup in the clinical study, and also very good actually starting point in the first line therapy. Of course, there are some weaknesses, but it doesn't seem so bad when I read the weaknesses. It's like when the HR asks you, what is your weakness? And you always give a good weakness. You say that I'm working too much. So that the HR, then, okay, it's a good weakness. So it's same like osimertinib in this case, because there's not, it says that US is not the main scope. But yes, we know this from the previous analysis. Yes, but it's a very, very important product for the world, and especially for the Asian patients. So this is really good. You can also see the opportunities for the market and the threats for the market that you can read and continue to make your analysis. So when we come to understand the originator part, what we know, I'm just repeating myself, that you know the value of the molecule until 2026, 10 billion. You know the market potential, this medical potential, and you know the SWOT analysis. What's the difference between osimertinib and the other molecules, gefitinib, erlotinib, afatinib, and also you know where to focus, in which scopes you need to focus yourself. This is a good start for the evaluation. The second step is what originator is doing. So again, Cortellis, you can see the development status of the originator, the developer. In this case, it's AstraZeneca. So you can see the indication, which indication, in the which phase they are performing studies, in which scope. Sometimes this database is not very updated, but mostly it is. There, Katie, I think there's a question.
Yeah, that was my raise a hand.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you. We've got a question from Darshan. After first to file, exclusivity expires in 180 days. How do you differentiate your generic from other generics entering the market?
Okay, the question is NC-1 question, or is it E first to file question?
First to file. After first to file, exclusivity expires.
Okay, so actually the point is, I will explain that in this slide why we are talking about phase 3 studies of the originator. I mean, you can ask me. By the way, I'm replying the question.
Yes. Thank you, Darshan.
Yeah, Darshan, I'm replying the question. So you can ask me, Baha, come on. I mean, the patent will expire in 15 years later. So why are you checking the phase 3 studies? And as Darshan's question is, I guess I guess Darshan knows very well that whenever FDA approves the product in US, in the United States, and you have 4 years time to develop the product as a generic company. In this 4 years, if you are successful and if you submit your dossier to the FDA in 4 years time, with the right development, of course, then you have a right to launch the product 6 months before the other generic companies. I guess the question is this exclusivity about this. So the first thing, you don't need to differentiate your product. The product needs to be early enough to be developed. This is the first target that you should focus. So you can make one-to-one copy of the originator, but you should do it in the right time, in the first 4 years. If you miss the first 4 years, if you are not following the phase 3 studies, if you are not checking the FDA approvals, if you want to launch the product 6 months later, then the question will pop up to my mind. Then maybe in that time, 5 or 6, if you are lucky, maybe 10 companies will be in the first 6 months. Because of the generic entry, the price erosion will be very high. And also the market shares of the generic companies will be shared already. And then you enter the market. It's really very hard to compete if you don't have a very competitive product. So the first thing that you should think about is not to differentiate the product, but to submit the product on time. But if the question is E first to file opportunities in the US, which is sometimes the company is changing their products, even though it's approved by FDA. For example, palbociclib, it's a capsule product, but the originator just changed their decision, Pfizer, and they said that we want to launch the tablet form of the products. Then there is no 4 years. I mean, you need to develop the tablet form, and it's an E first to file race that you should directly submit your product before everyone. So this is also, you need to be one-to-one copy of the differentiated originator product. This is also very important. But the last thing, I think, is a good question. Sorry for that, but I need to explain the differentiation point. But if you want to differentiate your product, and I have some examples. For example, if you differentiate your product, for example, to lyo to Levy, the lyophilized product to liquid product for one originator, then there's a different submission in the US. It's not a generic submission anymore. It's a different kind of submission. And then you need to also submit your product in a different pool, and there's different rules on that. So of course you are also lucky that you can promote your differentiated product, but mostly we are not going in that direction first. We need to focus on one-to-one copy of the originator in the 4 years time in US. And US is mostly the beginning of this story in the molecules. They firstly started to launch the product in US, and then it comes to from United States to Europe or Japan in most of the cases. So I can reply the question like that. Katie, is there any?
Yeah. There is actually a follow-up from Darshan. Do you compete on pricing? Because after 6 months, pricing crashes with other generics entering the market.
Of course, pricing is the most important question after 6 months. But as I told, if you are in the first in the market, if you're the first, if you're, for example, think about in osimertinib case that I will explain in a couple of slides later, there are only 3 companies submit the product in the first 4 years, and these 3 companies will have 6 months advantage. And think about if there's 3 companies, an originator in US, the price erosion won't be so high. It will be moderate. So then they will be fun like 6 months to sell this product as a generic, in a big market like 10 billion worldwide sales we are talking about. And it's in the United States, it's 2.5, 3 billion most of the case. So think about that, the price erosion is not big. But after 6 months, as it's very visible that most of the generic companies will launch the product, then the price competition will start. But the first 6 months will be very important for the investment, if it's worth to the investment or not, because you will earn more profit than if you compare for the rest of the years. That's the reason you should be very early, you should be very quick to give a decision if you want to develop this product or not, even before FDA approved this product. That's why we are checking even the phase 3 studies. Is there any more questions, Kathy, here?
So far, that's all of them. Oh, actually, Sandra is coming up with one. And thank you, everyone. This is really wonderful. Do you have an idea how many competitors to file for 100-day exclusivity, or all super confidential?
And again, I will show this competition part in my slides, but I can say that there is no FDA transparency in the submission, but from the API part, we call DMF, you can see which companies are developing the APIs. So it's also a good trigger point that you can at least see how many companies are working on API, and it's FDA database, it's public, the DMF database. Mm-hmm. You cannot see the submission before. But after 4 years, when the 4 years ended, FDA is the really very transparent database. It's really public. They give all the information that you can see.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Baha, for answering. I'm gonna let you know if there are any more, but this is it so far. So please carry on if you'd like.
I will explain those topics in my slides actually. So in here you see which scopes are in which stage of the development. So some of them are phase 3, some of them are launched. It's important to see. In osimertinib, it's easy, but in some cases, in the very niche indications, you don't know which scopes you should think about. This is good. Cortellis is really good to understand that. And the next topic will be the patent situation. I'm more than sure in your companies, you have the patent experts that you already asked them. But before asking them, maybe you can also get your education from the ARC patent database. In this case, for example, when you see the type part, in the type part, you see the patent, and when it's EXT, it means extended patent. So in here, let's focus on US. The patent is issued in 2032. It means that the first generic entry in August 2032 will be these 3 companies that submit the product earlier. After those companies, in August, let's count 6 more months, so February 2033, the other companies will launch their generic products. So we are talking about, for example, in this case, 12 years before this product, we know about the value, we know at least which companies are working for this product, and we know the competition type. Is it high, is medium, is low? It's incredible. You only do those things with external databases, which is good. In the ARC patent is good, but of course, I'm more than sure I work also some different generic companies. You always have this data. But in this case, you can see per scope by scope what's osimertinib patent. And of course, always it can be changed. There are always launch relevant patents. So there are some patents that the originator can go to the court. Some patents that you don't, this is launch limited patents, you need to consider those patents before you enter to the market. So this is also a very tricky area, but at least you can see the first entry, the first possible entry from this database as well. The third thing is after the patent, and this is my second favorite database after Cortellis. This is Biomed Tracker. Biomed Tracker is very fantastic because it also shows for this molecule which other indications, if there's any clinical studies, of course, which other indication there is any studies performed. In this case, in osimertinib, there is a brain cancer indication. There's studies are ongoing. It's only phase 1, and it's very early to talk. I mean, you never know. It's 4 to 5 years. Maybe we can see some results, and we can see some information in 4 to 5 years. So in this case, there is no other the studies I can see for osimertinib. But let's be frank, non-small cell lung cancer indication is good enough. We are talking about 10 billion potential in 2026. But this is good for the other molecules. If you want to check the other molecules, just go to Biomed Tracker and write the name of the molecule or maybe the brand name, and you can see what are the originators' plans for these molecules. I guess the question was which companies are working for the generic competition. And you can see the filer information or oppositions. Just 1 second, yeah. Filer information and oppositions. And this is a really very good database for US and for Europe. It's called IPD. And in this database, the first part, the US part, the API manufacturers database, you can also check it from FDA page, but IPD is making the things more organized for me. So I just click the name of the product and I can see the DMF holders, and that Alembic and MSN, for example, has the submission dates. You can see whenever they get the completeness assessment. And then you can see the first ANDA filers, which means that they file those products in 4 years' time. And Alembic and Zydus getting the first 2, and also tentative the MSN, so 3 companies. And then you can see the oppositions in the Europe. The second part of my slide, you can see, and Stada. I think there are some people in Stada from this today. So I see that Stada has an opposition. I mean, the opposition decided opponents is Stada, let's say, and Mylan. So what I can see, Mylan, Stada is thinking about this product in Europe, and also in US, there are 3 companies already getting the 6 months advantage from us. So this is that kind of database I can just trigger it with this IPD information, with the filer information, also the oppositions. So this was the most important topic. So you know the value of the product, you know the medical potential of the product, you know where to focus, you know what originator is doing, what is the patent that you should consider, what are the other competitors for this product, you know the competition level, so you know everything actually. What you need to do is you need to think about the market line. I mean, this is the product graphic. So until 2032, the product will grow, and then it will go down. In this case, this is an hypothetical product, so it's not osimertinib anymore, because I don't want to make an example for osimertinib for a futuristic thing here. So this is a different product. So as you can see in this graph, we just imagine in which scope, in which country the product can grow, what can be the peak sales of the product, and when the patent will expire, and when the market will go down because of the price will also go down. After you reach this point, and this is the most important point, is only one small slide, but this is really important to know. If you get this point, and then afterwards, this is the only thing that you should do is just estimate it, what will be your market share assumption. Think about your company, think about your capabilities, think about your strength of your company, and think about the generic penetration information about the scopes. Katie, you asked me what makes you excited. So if you know the generic penetration of, for example, France, if you know the generic penetration of Japan and the pricing assumptions, if they are different, and if you know it, new learnings, you can use in here. So this makes the difference, that you will have MPV, a business case, 15 years later or 20 years later, or in this case, 12 years later launches. It won't be one-to-one same in 12 years, but the rationale or the target or the objective is try to be the, let's say, most realistic one. And this will make the most realistic one. And you can then think about for which scopes, which countries that you want to allocate this generic product, what kind of investment you can think about it with the help of course, the development people. And afterwards, you can make your MPV and decide on to invest this product or not. So the conclusion of my presentation, actually it's the last slide of my presentation. You should make a deep dive. So you should understand the product. You should understand the originator, and you need to know where to focus. In this osimertinib case, if you only focus Europe and US, you miss 40% of the market already. So you need to know the focus, where to focus, and also understand the originator. If originator didn't make any studies in the potential areas, it can be. Some originators are small, they don't have budget. It can be the possibility. Then you shouldn't also think about those scopes. You are not an originator, you're a generic company. You should follow the originator. Originator should actually create the market for you before you enter. This is a difference between the generic companies and the originator companies. And also you need to estimate the market very well. After giving this great analysis, you can decide to go or no go. But no go is also a decision. This is same for life partner. Do you want to be with her or him, or do you don't want to be with her or him? If you're in the middle, it's a problem. So you need to give a decision. So decision for me, no go is also a decision. Go is also a decision. I'm not a portfolio manager. Always want to allocate the projects. I just want to give decisions. So that kind of 17 slides, I know it's not good enough for that kind of big decisions, but maybe it can trigger your thoughts. And I'm really thank you for your time today to listen, and open to your questions if you have any.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bah. It was wonderful to hear all of that, honestly, and I'm really happy that people kind of decided to ask questions and as we were going in. And yeah, feel free to stop sharing your screen, and we'll see if there's a question from Vladimir. It says, "Where is portfolio?"
I'm
not sure.
Comments.
Yeah, it just says, "Where is portfolio?" In my head, that sounds funny, but
maybe try to understand the question. So maybe what is the role of portfolio?
Maybe I'm not sure if Vladimir, if you feel like you want to unmute yourself and
yeah, we can discuss that.
Yeah, ask directly. Feel free.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. The question is, if you analyze individual drug, I would say kind of everything is fine, but your title is portfolio manager.
Mm-hmm.
I can show you my face because it would be.
I will be pleased. Yeah.
I'm not in Florida, guys. Hi, I'm not in Florida, and I expected from your presentation that you will be talking about how do you deal with portfolio, because you may have very attractive drug, but you may not have enough money or manufacturing capabilities or something like that. Therefore, portfolio considerations are different from each drug considerations.
Okay, I understand your question.
Well, thank you so much, Vladimir.
Yeah, just I wanted to be short to make sure that
I kind of thought it was a joke. I was like, okay, wait a minute.
No. I'm very serious. I'm very serious. And this is my question again. The difference between individual drug and portfolio is, in my opinion, is kind of big enough.
Yeah. Yeah, Vladimir, which company are you working? Is it a pharma company?
No, I'm consultant.
Consultant. So it depends on which company you're working. The portfolio means something different. So I'm working in Sandoz. So if I'm working in Novartis, for example, then your question is very valid, because then I have a budget for my development project. For example, ribociclib, the Kisqali for breast cancer, and I have budget for development. I make the development, then I launch the product, then I promote the product. So everything is following each other. But if you're talking about generic company like Sandoz, first of all, you need to know where to invest. So this presentation is more in the selection part. After selection, then this investment topic, the budget topic, how to deal with the portfolio topic starts. But in the generic industry, mostly the biggest pie of our objective or task is to know where to spend the money.
The question, no. I can say I would like to get a Lamborghini, but unfortunately my budget doesn't allow it. But Lamborghini is much better than Honda, for example.
Yeah.
And in this case, when you do selection, we don't need to mix two subjects. I would call what you are doing is pre-selection. And selection, it means that your portfolio or whatever should be aligned with budget, strategic goals, value of the drug, etc., like everything like in textbooks. And this is what I call selection.
Yeah, we will make one-to-one of Lamborghini, so it won't be
Yeah,
it won't be the same Lamborghini, unfortunately, but we will try to do our best as a generic. Yeah, so the selection is not a pre-selection, but whenever you select, you allocate the budget on the product, so you select it. So
it means that Sandoz has unlimited budget, right?
No, every company has.
Yeah, but you said if you select, therefore they will find money to. What if they don't?
Then we don't select it.
No, it doesn't work this way.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to look at the budget, and look at your targets, and then you may select 20 targets, but you have budget only for 15 or whatever, and this is kind of.
Yeah, you can make prioritization. Then you can think about which ones is more needed for your portfolio. But this is also, if you don't know this evaluation that I explained in 17 slides.
I'm not questioning it. Evaluation is very important.
I'm just saying that it's a good question, but our job is starting with selection.
I'm flattered.
I'm just going to share that one. Budget part is the second part of our job.
Okay, whatever. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
One message, I guess it's from.
Yeah, there is one.
Marcus.
So Marcus, yeah, thank you, Marcus. Sales estimation competitor impact contains a high uncertainty, especially if you predict long-term. How do you consider this uncertainty in the portfolio/selection decisions? Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, what do you say about that?
So Marcus, I agree. I mean, I always say it's 15 years, 20 years we are talking about. You never know what you will do in the next year. You don't know in tomorrow what you will do, because this is life, so everything is uncertain actually. So the clarification of this question is there are some trigger points that you can see the competition level of the molecules by looking of some topics. For example, the BE studies, if the product is oral product, and FDA normally announce their BE studies recommendations. If the BE studies is with the patient study, which makes the study 20 times more expensive than the healthy volunteer study, then you know that this investment is high and less people will submit the product. So not every company can submit the product. So you can see the competition level, for example, in the first time. And secondly, the API complexity. You can check the API complexity if the API is complex enough that not every company has the capability to produce the product with that complex API, for example. That kind of small parts, that kind of details that you can make your calculations, especially for US, because as I told, US is the first market that you need to think about it, and mostly the 50% of the whole portfolio for your project. But of course, whenever the things that you see in the market is changing, then of course you can change your plans as well. So I think Vladimir's question is also in that same direction. I mean, then he said that you have budget for 15 projects, but you want to select 20 projects. Same for you select 20 projects, but you saw that 5 of them is not going good. So because of some reasons. I think Sandra also asked the same question. She said that if you see something meanwhile that or some of the other companies launch a better product, for example, then what you will do is you can just reevaluate your project and you can stop the project if necessary. But the first thing is you need to give a decision in the first side, but you can change your decision and you should take a risk if you don't want to miss the race. And as I told, Sandoz is the leader of the generic oncology business. And this is why I myself and my company also think about that kind of risk. We need to think about that kind of risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for lovely answers. And then the questions, of course, I'm hoping, this was sufficient enough. If not, I feel like, feel free to contact Baha. PPM platform is there, so feel free if you'd like to get it more clear. There's actually a question from Vladimir, speaking of risk, taking risks, how do you incorporate risk in your predictions?
There are always risks that we should take, and there are lots of different kind of risks: regulatory risk, the development risk, commercial risks. In each milestone, we consider and reevaluate those risks, and we change our plans if it's necessary. So in the first site selection part, we also inform those risks, but whenever we come close to the launch, we reevaluate the business cases, reevaluate everything once more.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Was that sufficient enough, Vladimir? I'm not sure if that kind of answered, hopefully.
My question was a little bit different.
Yeah, go on.
Actually, all your predictions, they should be risk-based. And instead of kind of one number, which I would assume, but correct me if I'm wrong, they are average, some sort of average numbers. I would assume that each number should be kind of it should be two-dimensional actually parameter, number and risk. I mean, for example, like not RNPV, but NPV and risk. In this case, because you have so many uncertainties, so many factors, it's not only like probability of success. It's most important is market competition, and it's really hard to kind of to present some sort of average number, and average could be very deceiving. I can I can give lecture about it, but in general, it should be kind of number and risk. Sorry.
No problem. And right now, Vladimir, you're talking about the things that are after the selection. In our slides, we always have scenarios. So we don't go with one number. So we will have downside, base, and upside scenarios. And each scenarios, we consider some risks. And that's why there are scenarios, because if there's a risk, it can be downside. If you consider the risk as a low risk, then it can be base. If you don't even consider risk and you say that we should launch the product at risk, for example, then it's the upside case. So it's not only one number, and I didn't give any NPV information here in this slide. So we normally get the allocation conditionally, so which means that in our assumption as a base case assumption, we get the allocation. Whenever the thing's going wrong, and then we, of course, think the downside scenario and we reevaluate our business case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully they kind of answered the question. If not, as I said, feel free to start a discussion even on the platform. So this doesn't have to end here. I just don't want anyone to, being held up by the webinar. But this was I really enjoyed. I must say this was really interesting to really have the conversation going like this, and maybe Vladimir, you kind of put Baha at a different spot, and that's really lovely. That's how everyone learns, to really be pushed different directions. So this was wonderful, and feel free to, to ask questions publicly, to do anything like that. Marcus says, thank you for the presentation. Bye. So thank you so much. And yeah, I think you have to unmute yourself. There's maybe you muted yourself.
Yeah, I mute myself. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you very much for the participation as well. And thank you.
Yeah, Marcel Costa from Stada. Thank you. Very good. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm hoping this was really, really fruitful for everyone, because I feel like it had a great vibe and people really did ask. And, you're a great speaker. You knew what to do. You knew how to tackle it yourself. I didn't even have to be here. Thank you,
Kathy. Thank you very much for the opportunity as well. And if there's any questions, I will also share my slide. In the last page of my slide, I have a mail address. If anyone wants to ask a question, or also for the other social medias that you can also
business inquiries.
Yes. No problem.
Yeah, but I would like to say thank you to everyone who stayed with us for this long, for the end of the online webinar. And feel free to contact Baha or myself if I can help in any way. I really try to be there for everyone as much as I can to answer any questions. I'm not a professional, but I have people like Baha and other speakers who will be presenting and who presented already that I can contact and get you in touch with. So I would like to thank everyone for joining us, and I would like to thank Baha for the time. And actually, people are clapping. I love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was a lot of fun. It's a lucky time, 1717 here in Bratislava. So I'm taking it as the time to go and let everyone go as well and enjoy the day. And if anything else, I'll see you here tomorrow again for another wonderful online webinar. And be well, everyone. Thank you so much. And join the platform, keep the conversation going. It's all for you, and this was really wonderful. So it doesn't have to end here.
Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.